All right, let's get to the clubs. Let's talk about all 18 clubs, and we'll start with the Adelaide Crows. Ralphie, I just want you to repeat what that Jordan Dawson deal is if you can, then I'll get Joey and Kingy's thoughts on where the Crows are at.
So the Melbourne future first rounder. Now, Melbourne have been pretty temperamental, but I think we all feel they'll finish in the top four again. So something between 15 and 18, which probably gets pushed back a few picks by father-son picks, including Marcus Ashcroft's son of Brisbane.
So what we're going to do is try and work out what sort of windows are available for these clubs to get to the point where they can contend for a period. What that period is ranges from club to club and where their starting points are. So the Adelaide Crows clearly are at the bottom end of that. They're closer to the start of the rebuild than the end. So I like what they're doing. I like where they're going. So if you look at the last 4 years, they've taken 18 picks in the national draft. They've taken 11 of those in the top 30. That's second most in the competition. So they're getting these picks in. The question is, are they the quality of pick or the quality of player that are going to drive this club up the table and shape games? I like the Jordan Dawson move. I think that he's a skillful player, whether he plays wing, on ball, half back, wherever. Does his game suit Sydney Swans more than it does the Adelaide Crows?
How do you mean?
Will be a watch. I think the way the Swans play with that space and they run their lanes, they all get the ability to execute their ball use. It suits him more than any other player in that team because he's a ball user, he's a wonderful left-footed kick. He goes to the Crows, they play a different sort of game, a wave-running game, where you can often be in congestion. So you're not as skillful as you'd like to be. So let's just wait and see where that impacts, but I love the move.
Yeah, I think the beauty about him is he can play in all positions. We know he can play wing, he can play half-back. He even can start his career half-forward, and I think they see him also playing as a bit of an on-baller as well. He can play as an inside mid. I think it's a great pick, and I think with that build, Kingy, the reason why you want to get so many bits of young talent, everyone develops at a different rate. So there's still question marks about Chase Jones or Fisher Mackesy, but everyone grows at a different rate. Some hit the ground running, like a Matt Rowell or a Sam Walsh. Some take a bit more time. I think they're building nicely. They're still at least a few years away, aren't they, Kingy?
Well, I think you've got to look at the core of the rebuild, and that's Thilthorpe. Schomburg I really love. I think he's a very good player. Mackesy, Jones and Fogarty are the ones that I'm unsure of their ceilings. So I still think their premiership window is another 4 to 5 years away, their opportunity to spike up meaningfully. I mean, they could trade out all their early picks and find themselves, somewhere between 8th and 12th on the ladder. Absolutely no point in doing that. So I like how they're doing it. It's a little bit slower than most. Their midfield needs growth, it needs volume. Patience.
I love Matty Nicks. They'll recontract him for a couple more years over the summer. They are only 39 games into the rebuild there, so I think they would agree with your premiership window.
Yeah, every club wants to be optimistic about when their legitimate premiership window is, but you've got to be a bit more realistic and a bit more rational. And I think it's the premiership builds of teams when they're rebuilding takes a little bit longer than most people or most clubs will say publicly.
Interesting. 2026 to 2030 sounds a long way away, but I guess when you consider that they're 39 games into the rebuild, it probably makes sense.
When you want to hit the window, you want to have a sustained period in that window.
What it means is Rory Sloane's not playing in a flag.
This was a rebuild hamburger with a lot. This was absolute ground zero. So you've got to give them time.
And they've got money to spend next year, and Jack Lukosius and Isaac Rankin are both out of contract. We've got more to come after the breaks. We've got 17 more clubs. We're coming up, and starting tomorrow, it's the WBBL. It's the Melbourne Stars versus the Sydney Sixers to kick things off on Fox Cricket.